right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody, to another episode of Weird Mythic Podcast. I am just one of your hosts, Naomi, and I have my lovely other co-host over here,
Serena.
Yay, Serena.
Happy Friday the 13th.
Yes, happy Friday the 13th. Thanks for listening to our second episode of the day. We were very excited to do this.
Yeah,
so
I'm stoked.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about exorcisms and possessions for this episode. And
creepy.
It was pretty creepy.
Oh my gosh.
We actually came up with like almost too much information.
We're going to try to keep it brief, but it's a lot of good stuff.
There was just so much we wanted to talk about and so much we wanted to research, so we had to narrow it down. So.
Yeah, let's get started then. Yeah. Should we just jump right in? Do you have any news? Do you have anything going on?
For me personally, no.
Seen any scary movies lately?
Nothing really, no. But I'm catching up on Game of Thrones, and that's just disturbing half the time. Right. So that's about it. But no new scary movies.
Right. Well, the new Halloween looks good.
Yes, and we're going to see that, right?
Yeah, we're going to go see that.
Yeah, we're going to go see
that.
We'll
do an episode about something similar, I think. Yeah. Maybe like a serial killer episode.
Dude, that would be cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
We'll do
it for you guys.
Okay. What do you guys think?
All right, well, let's go ahead and jump right in. Then we are going to be talking about, again, possessions, demons, exorcisms. I do have a personal story. This is from our coworker, Jordan. Yeah. Shout out, girl.
Hey, Jordan.
Thank you for sending us this, even though we kind of forced you to. All right, so she thought her boyfriend was possessed.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Her ex-boyfriend.
Yeah,
she broke up with him. Yeah. Too late if you ask me. But
she didn't know us back then, so
I know we couldn't have given her the good advice. We're about to give all of you folks
some good advice, directions on where to go if you think somebody might be possessed.
Yeah, and like just red flags in general, you know.
Just Jordan, red flags in general when it comes to relationships. This might be good.
We got you, girl. We got you. All right. So it says, all right, well, a few years ago when I had just turned 19, I met a guy. Let's call him John at my work. We did the same job, but worked in sales, so we barely ever saw each other. We quickly hit it off, and he asked me on a date. Within days, my dumb ass invited him to live with me. Long story short, he had a tough living situation, and my car broke down, so very early into the relationship, we ended up relying on each other for shelter and transportation.
Codependency.
But, like, no judgment there, Jordan. You know, we love you, girl. When we first met, he told me he was interested in occultism, which I was clueless about. That's not necessarily a red flag, you know.
Right.
We're good. We're okay with that.
Yeah, everybody has their own beliefs. Yeah.
We're good so far. He told me he meditated, used crystals, and went to groups of like-minded people. All seemed totally normal to me. I feel like that'd be normal to me. I'd be like, you're fine.
I'd be like, yeah, you have a group of people, you all believe in this.
Yeah.
Discuss it, yeah.
So as months went by, I realized he was a bit deeper into it than I originally thought. He was constantly doing rituals where he communicated with demons, and this was the first red flag.
Okay.
He would start to ask me if I had weird dreams or felt odd energy, and if I said yes, he'd freak out and sage the house, thinking the demons he communicated with didn't fully clear their energies. He told me he was working with very powerful spirits, but that these were good demons, and I didn't have anything to worry about.
Well,
Jordan!
I don't know about the good and bad demons. I think the fact that they're demons isn't necessarily a good thing, but hey, I could be wrong.
So that's red flag number 2. Fast forward to now, I have been informed that good demons do not exist. So we lived our daily lives together. He would pray to his demons and encourage me to join him every now and then. During the last few months together, I didn't initially think he was possessed. I just thought he was being a dick and losing interest in our relationship. John used to play video games on his computer a lot when we first met. I remember constantly sitting in the other room wondering when he'd finish. Red flag number 2, girl. He's not, spending time with you. At the end of our relationship, I noticed that John stopped playing video games by a drastic amount. He cut down to playing maybe an hour a day, and within a week, he went cold turkey. When I asked him why he suddenly stopped, his reply was, just focused on more important things. That's weird, because any gamer will tell you, like...
Yeah, especially one that would game all the time.
All the time. You don't freaking quit like that.
Yeah, you can't. And especially if you're playing all the time, you're, like, part of guilds, you're part of teams.
Exactly.
Like...
You have your online buddies that you talk to all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't quit like that.
Yeah.
Alright, anyways. Along with quitting video games, John also stopped eating, showering, and sleeping. I noticed he would eat maybe once a day, usually after I reminded him, as well as that he restricted his hygiene habits to a bare minimum. It really seemed like he was just letting himself go to depression, but he wasn't depressed. John was almost manically happy. He was even joyous at times, which was especially odd since we were fighting more than ever as well. That's freaking weird.
Yeah.
Like some narcissist shit.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, so what
He's
game
either
is he
possessed or a
playing?
narcissist. Or both. During this time, he talked to me about his journey on a spiritual path, as well as past life experiences he was having. I try not to judge, especially when it comes to religion and spirituality, but John was very different. When I looked at him, he had a Joker-like smile, but his eyes were dark. I'll never forget during one of our biggest fights, I wanted to leave him. I was set on breaking up with him, but he convinced me that he could try harder and we could work things out. When he said this, I stared into his eyes as hard as I could. I wanted to see if I could tell if he was lying, but instead, his eyes were black. They were empty. I couldn't feel any life behind them. I had been feeling that way when I looked at him for a while, and just chalked it up to my resentful feelings. After a few months of clearing my mind, I realized there were a lot of red flags adding up. Not just with him as a partner, but possibly being possessed. I can't describe the gut feeling I had when making eye contact with John, but something in me knew that he wasn't right, and that it hadn't been there before. While I don't know for sure if John was possessed by a demon, every day he let them into his mind and spirit. I can't imagine he was left untainted. His dark, lifeless eyes has stuck with me, but mostly as a reminder of the dark energy I escaped.
All right. Well, Jordan, we're very glad that you escaped that.
Proud of you, girl, because he just sounds like he needed to work on himself.
Exactly,
So,
yeah.
Possessed or not, that man needed help.
But I like that story because it gives a good insight to... Like, I don't know a whole lot about occultism besides, just what I've studied on my own, but I don't know anybody who was actually in it.
Just the people I follow on TikTok.
But I like that story because it gives us a good insight of how an outsider who's, open to the fact of spirituality and is willing to learn about it, but still got that gut feeling that something was wrong.
Yeah.
And so you should always trust that gut feeling.
Exactly. Like we said last episode, trust your instincts because even in a bad relationship in general, if you have a bad feeling, go with that. It's correct.
Yeah.
You guys know.
Yes. You know when people's energies change.
Yeah,
and you
exactly.
Could feel
Especially if they live together, they were spending all, time together, and then...
And it seemed like the change with her and her ex happened pretty dramatically.
It was, pretty much instantaneously,
Yeah, so, thank you, Jordan. I like
thanks,
that story.
girl.
Very, very interesting.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get back into some other possible demon possessions that we're talking about today. Go ahead, Naomi, let's kick it off.
Okay, so I kind of wanted to start off with... I read this article that was written by a psychiatrist who has dealt with... the psychiatry behind demonic possession. We'll have to post the link to it on our social media pages. So I'm just going to start off with that quote real quick. And he is quoted to say, "Ignorance and superstition have often surrounded stories of demonic possession in various cultures. And surely many alleged episodes can be explained by fraud or mental pathology. But anthropologists agree that nearly all cultures have believed in spirits, and the vast majority of societies, including our own, have recorded dramatic stories of spirit possession. Despite varying interpretations, multiple depictions of the same phenomena in astonishingly consistent ways offer cumulative evidence of their credibility." So I really like that quote, especially since it came from a psychiatrist. Something else I kind of looked up. I wanted to know more about how the Vatican goes about with possessions and exorcisms, since it seems to me that even people who aren't Catholic, they could be even part of a completely different religion altogether. But when they believe that they're possessed and other people believe that they're possessed, they always call the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And they do come in and help regardless of whatever religious practice that they have.
So this goes back to 1500s, right?
Yeah. So The Vatican actually did issue a guideline on exorcism in 1614.
Okay.
So that's when that book that all the exorcists carry, along with the Bible, it's from the 1600s. It was revised in 1999.
They came out with a new version.
Yes.
Which isn't as powerful.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I heard it's not as powerful, not as effective.
I wonder why. Did you find out any, like, theories
No,
on
I
why?
didn't dive into it that much, but yeah,
we'll have to do.
We'll do a part 2 for sure.
We're gonna have to.
This topic is just too insane to not do multiple episodes.
And so I also found a YouTube video. It's called Vaticano: The Ministry of an Exorcist, and it's an interview with an actual exorcist from the Vatican.
Okay.
And this guy was actually sent from the Vatican to this very small village in Switzerland. And the reporter asked him, like, how many times do you get a random person coming up to you thinking that they're possessed? And he said he's in a very small village. He said he gets at least one person a week coming up to him. And that's a lot. This isn't a big city. This is a small village town.
Well, let's
with
never go
one
there.
person in it to help with exorcisms in this one big, area of Switzerland. So I thought that was really interesting. The reporter also asked him, why do children become possessed? Like, children are innocent. They haven't sinned. Right?
Is it because it's like easier to take over their...
Kind of. The way that he explained it is God has created all men with free will. So children still have free will and still have influence. They can become possessed. So I thought that was interesting as well. He went on to say that when he has somebody come up to him and they believe that they're possessed, the first thing to look for is if they have knowledge of things that they shouldn't have knowledge of.
Oh, yep. I have that here as well.
Just things they shouldn't know about or
like
would
personal things about him
or anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody. Yeah. It could be stuff that hasn't happened yet. It could be stuff that happened a week ago that they haven't been told of, but all of a sudden they know about it.
Yep.
Another thing is if they're having visions or speaking dead languages and that they are frightened by sacred things. So this would be like a rosary or a crucifix. Yeah. But you don't have to have all 4 of those to be considered possessed. Really, it could be one or the other.
My girl did. She had all of it.
And so he said that once the Vatican or that priest or that father or that exorcist has decided that that person is possessed, there's a few things that they need to do to start the exorcism. One of the first things they do is they have that purple shawl that all the exorcists wear.
Oh, yeah.
There's something about that has some sort of power with them, with God. So they will wear that, and they will actually drape the other half around the possessed person's shoulders.
Ooh, I would not want to be that close to them.
So they put the shawl on. They go over the next person with it. They also give the person who is possessed a cross or a crucifix, and they have to hold it. He says if they don't hold it, then it needs to be kind of pressed against them.
Like forcefully.
Yeah. And
in movies, they always do like the forehead.
Yeah, and the way that he said it, he likes to put it on people's stomachs because it's just where he likes to put them and he'll gently just kind of leave it on their stomach. And they also have the holy or blessed water. They have that book that we talked about. They have to do for the exorcism. And they have both. This guy actually carries the new version and the old version with him.
Because if the new version doesn't work, let's go back to
he asks the person to start praying. Mm-hmm. And that's the beginning of the exorcism.
Okay. So, and they probably it's like a checklist. I'm sure that any exorcist that's been blessed by the church or, approved by the church as an exorcist has to go through these exact steps.
Exactly. So. And that's what he was saying. And something that he said at the end of the interview was the more normal the priest, the better. He wants a down-to-earth priest. He doesn't want somebody who's like, I don't know, I'm guessing like...
Theatrical
or something. I'm not sure exactly what he meant by that.
Well, but I'm out.
I thought it was interesting that he said the more normal the priest, the better. So,
okay. That's something to think about.
Yep. All right. Well, Serena, do you want to get into your first story?
Yeah. Well, I only covered 1.
Okay.
Did you do 2?
I did 3.
Okay. Well, how about you go first? Okay. And then I'll go in the middle.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. So, I have my first story. It is, her name is Amy Stam Addis. Sorry if I mispronounced her last name. It's Stamatis, Amy. This was in November of 2006 in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Oh.
So.
Dang, not too far off.
Nope. So, in 2006, Amy fell or was pushed or she jumped from her second story home onto her brick patio. Just jumped one day. She was paralyzed from the waist down. She insists that she did not jump. She did not commit suicide. She hardly remembers even going to the second floor and actually crawling out of her window to sit on the ledge and then jump.
Wow. She had to actually go out the window.
She had to actually open up the window, and the way that, like, there's a picture of it online. It's like, there's no ledge here. She had to open this window, sit
on the sill of the window.
Sit on the windowsill, so it's not like it was a balcony or anything.
Okay.
So, months before this incident, Amy started having some dark times, is how she described it. Some really dark thoughts. She was hearing voices telling her to commit suicide. She thought she was having a mental breakdown. And I honestly would probably feel the same.
Yeah.
If I started hearing voices and...
I would commit myself instantly.
Regardless of what these voices were saying, I would feel like this is a mental breakdown. This is how it feels.
Yeah.
So that's what she thought. But the voices continued to get louder, and she said that they were, like, filling her head. And it was starting to become, like, really intense for her. I believe she worked as a nurse because she was working at the Baptist Health Medical Center in Little Rock. And one night, one of her late night 24-hour shifts, like nurses do, she started to feel a little dizzy. And then the next thing she remembers is kind of wandering around the hospital, completely confused of where she was going. And her supervisor actually sent her home that night because she seemed so confused. They're like, go home,
you can't
rest.
Right now,
You've been here for hours and now you're acting a little off. So she went home and she rested. But these dizzy and foggy spells, I almost said smells. So these dizzy and foggy spells started to happen a little more frequently. She would forget what she was doing in mid of doing whatever she was doing. Yeah. And it became so odd that she started to even forget how to walk straight.
Ooh.
Or do simple tasks like picking out her clothes for the day. She couldn't seem to grasp how to pick out what clothes to wear to go anywhere.
Huh.
And again, she just thought she was having a mental breakdown. So she did go to her husband and tell him exactly what was going on.
Yeah.
Her and her husband went to a psychiatric hospital, but the psychiatrist and doctors couldn't find anything from this. They couldn't find anything in her head or what she was saying or even physically wrong with her. So they went to a couple other psychiatric hospitals for second opinions, and still nothing came of it. None of the doctors said that there was anything mentally wrong with her. But the behavior she kept getting these odd spells and forgetting things and just seeming really confused at times. Soon her behavior started to kind of change. She became a little more erratic. She had inappropriate, like, blurt outs to friends, family, and coworkers. She would become enraged and start shouting at people. And the one thing that happened to her where her and her husband were like, no, something is really wrong. They were at a family function, probably having dinner, regular, family dinner with everybody around. She started to take her clothes off and run around her home completely buck-ass naked.
Jeez.
So after that incident, they went to the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota. While there, she actually somehow broke away from the medical staff, ran up 8 stories, and then threatened to jump off the 8th story.
Oh my gosh.
She has no recollection of this happening at all. She doesn't remember breaking away from the doctors. She doesn't remember running up the stairs. She doesn't even remember threatening to jump.
Whoa.
So she goes home, and that's when she fell from her own second-story window and became paralyzed from the waist down.
It's crazy to me that they let her go. Like, they let her
leave. Yeah, they just let her go. Because they still couldn't find anything, even if it was an odd episode. Maybe she stayed for a little bit. I couldn't find that if she stayed at the Mayo Clinic. But she was able to go home. And then the incident of her jumping out her second-story window happened.
Damn.
So while she was recovering in the hospital from the jump, she had a visit from a woman named Cindy Lawson. and she is a healer and apparently some sort of like medium to where she can see demons. And she said that she had a vision from the Lord saying that she needed to go and visit Amy. So she went and visited her. They don't know each other at all. But Cindy had this thing come over her that she needed to go visit Amy in the hospital. And as soon as she saw Amy, she said that she saw demons all around her. And as Cindy was talking to Amy, this again is the first time they met in the hospital, Amy started kind of getting this weird growl at Cindy. And she said, "Why are you here?" So Cindy had performed about 10 exorcisms by this point of her life. And she performed an exorcism on Amy that day at the hospital. She anointed her forehead with oil. She said a prayer, commanded those demons to leave her. And yeah, that was the end. After that, Amy said that she had no more dizzy spells. She wasn't confused at all after that intervention with Cindy.
Oh my God.
So, according to this, Amy is fine, except for the fact that she is still a paraplegic.
Ugh.
So, but something to just keep in mind, Amy had no history of mental illness whatsoever before this incident. That is my first story, Little Rock, Arkansas. Yeah.
Don't go there.
Don't go there. But yeah, so Amy was able to be healed or freed from these demons after, an intervention with somebody who can help her. So
yeah.
Yeah. That was my first story.
All right. Let's hear your second one.
All right. Let me get into my second one. All right. So this one is also of a woman who had no sign of mental illness at all before all of this came and happened to her. This is about Pat Reading, and this is in Litchfield, Connecticut in 1983. Pat started to notice in her home in 1983 that she was hearing some odd banging noises coming from upstairs in her house. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just like a strange bang.
It was consistent.
It was a consistent and
knocking or something.
Yeah. And so she started to notice this. And it also happened on like the doors of the house. And then she started to notice that it was also like inside the walls almost.
Ugh, I would think rats or black-eyed children.
Well, that's kind of how she felt. She's like, something's with the house. It's an older house. And she knew it wasn't anyone else in the home because it was just her and her daughter there. And her daughter was 9 years old at this time. Yeah, and like a 9-year-old, you're going to know if it's her throwing something against the wall, I'm sure. So she continued to hear these noises, and some of them were like super quiet knocks, and then other times it was real violent, like the walls were shaking. It started to progress, and it started to progress so much that she started seeing furniture move and things flying off the tables. So
absolutely not.
That reminds me of Poltergeist.
I was going to say, that's like...
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
So she, after noticing these knocks, after noticing that it looked like the furniture was moving on their own in her home, she started to feel fingers and hands randomly poking and prodding at her.
Well, let me pull my feet up on the couch.
And by this point, she was actually seeing bruises on her body from these random pokes or prods that she was feeling when nobody was around her. And that's when Pat started to get a little, worried about herself. One specific morning where Pat was really concerned, she was getting out of bed. And as she was getting out of bed, she noticed that her covers and her sheets were covered in blood. She had no idea where it was coming from. And so she goes to the mirror and she notices that her back is completely scratched up. She said it looked like an animal had scratched up
she got
her back.
mauled by a bear.
Yep, that's exactly pretty much what she said. So she patched herself up and tried to go about her normal daily
How
business.
Do you normally go about your day?
I don't know how she did it. But the next night, she was completely unable to sleep. She started hearing voices, and she said they were coming from the darkness in her room. And these attacks that she was feeling was becoming more violent, and it was happening more and more. At one point, she felt that somebody had ripped her hair out, and there was a clump of hair left on the bedding, left on the floor. She started to get more bite marks on her arms and legs. And at one point, she was thrown from one side of the room to the other. Pat's daughter is quoted, once she was older, she stated that she would hear her mom scream and jerk backwards. Seemed like she was in pain, but she was also, like, not in a huge state of panic. It just, like, contortions almost. That's what her 9-year-old daughter saw. I can't imagine how scared she was. There's other quotes from her later on in life, like, recounting what she saw.
How scary.
And it's pretty terrifying.
Did she write a book at all?
I believe there's, like, a book out there,
I was like, she needs to write a book.
So, Pat was actually convinced that she wasn't possessed, but it was the house. Her house was haunted and that a demon might have been trying to possess her, but she didn't feel like she was possessed herself. A paranormal researcher named John Zaftis, who wrote the book on Pat, it's called The Struggle Within. I have a quote from him. He went and visited her. He says that she was found to have no psychosis. She was not a drinker. Medically, physically, everything had been ruled out. And that's when a decision had been made. That is when we decide to get the Roman Catholic Church involved.
Yeah, good choice.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, John, for helping her out. So over the next 2 weeks, after John came by and she's had, people come to her house in the Catholic Church and goes about all what you're supposed to go about. For 2 weeks, they had exorcisms. She had 16 exorcisms in those 2 weeks. At times, she was tied down and soaked with holy water.
Dude, that's like an exorcism a day.
Yeah. None of them worked.
Damn.
2 weeks, she was still having these issues. John Zaftis, he believes that Pat was a soul victim. And I had to look up what a soul victim is. An innocent individual that never had any experience with the occult or paranormal activity or even went to church falls victim to evil forces.
So she wasn't, like, religious or anything?
Nothing. And she
Damn,
really
this normal-ass bitch was...
Yeah. This normal single mom all of a sudden is having these things attack her. And she just doesn't even really believe in it until she's like, no, like, I have all these scratches. I have bite marks. Something is happening.
Yeah.
Reaches out for help. Got help. Sadly, she was not cured of these spirits. She continued to be attacked until she sadly passed away due to colon cancer.
Aww.
Yep. So that is Pat reading.
Aww.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that one.
No.
I don't like any of
sad.
them, but...
It's sad and scary. She tried to get help, and still nothing came of it. She was still having attacks till, sadly, she passed away.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
They should have shipped somebody in from the Vatican.
Somebody, yeah. Well, do you want to go ahead and do yours, or I can do my third one if you want?
I'll go ahead.
Okay,
go ahead.
Go for it, Serena.
All right, I'm going to be doing the story of Anneliese Michel. I hope I'm saying that correctly. It's German. It's actually the movie The Exorcism of Emily Rose was based loosely off of this story.
Yes.
So, all right, so Anneliese was born September 21st, 1952 in West Germany. She grew up Catholic, so she was very religious. She went to mass twice a week. She loved it.
Okay.
She was like into her religion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Devout.
Yes. That. So let's go to September 1968.
All right. Back to the 60s.
So Anneliese was now 16 years old. And this is kind of her first episode of her losing consciousness. So she actually blacked out when she was at school, and she began walking around in a daze. She didn't even remember the event at all. And then her friends and family said that she was in a trance-like state. So she's just roaming around, doesn't remember anything.
Which seems to be kind of a pattern.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, so August 1969. This is her second episode. So this is about a year later. Mm-hmm. She experienced a similar occurrence when she woke up in a trance in her bed, and she, wet herself.
Oh.
She said it felt as if something was pinning her down on her chest, to her bed, which makes me think sleep paralysis, right?
Yeah.
That's, a common thing.
Yeah.
Her body then went through a series of convulsions, causing her body to shake uncontrollably, like a seizure almost.
Yeah.
So she visited a neurologist who did a brain scan, and he said that nothing was showing up in the brain scan. Everything was normal. But then she was diagnosed with temporal lobe epilepsy.
Oh.
Yeah. So temporal lobe epilepsy, this disorder can cause seizures, loss of memory, and experience visual and auditorial hallucinations. Mm-hmm. And then temporal lobe epilepsy can also cause Geschwind syndrome. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Which, Geschwind syndrome, that can include hypergraphia. So that's like a behavioral condition that gives you an intense desire to like draw or write things.
Okay.
Hyper religiosity, like you're super into your religion,
which she was.
She already was. But even more so. So like in super intense episodes that actually will interfere with your everyday life. So you're not able to like function normally because you're
kind of like the mom from Carrie.
Yes.
All right. Gotcha.
And then atypical, usually reduced sexuality, circumstantiality. So that's like we're having a conversation and I can't get from point A to point B without going here, 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 and here.
Right.
So I'm all over the place. To explain, that type of thing. And then intense mental life. So those are included with her diagnosis.
And this was after her second episode.
This was after the second episode, yeah. Mind you, the brain scan was normal.
Right.
Then after this diagnosis, she began taking medications. They put her on some meds.
Right.
She was prescribed an anticonvulsant in 1970, but her brain scan was normal. And then in 1972, she was prescribed Dilantin, and her brain scan did have mild irregular patterns, but nothing that would have explained the symptoms.
Would any of that have to do with the medication she's on?
This was before.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's one theory, but the fact that her condition kind of predates the medication, no.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we're not thinking. My cat is so cute right now, you guys.
She just jumped up on my lap and just sat here.
Just hanging out. All right, let's go to spring of 1973. This is where things kind of start to get really weird, intensify a little bit. So the drugs weren't working, and Annalise started to believe that she was possessed by a demon. So she was actually the one that had the first thought.
Okay.
She would hear knocking sounds in her bedroom, in her house, but her sisters also heard them.
Okay.
So she wasn't the only one.
Okay.
She would hear a voice in her head damning her to hell.
Oh my god.
Like repeatedly over and over again. And then her mother was like starting to get a little sketched out when she found Annalise. She was like furiously staring at a statue of the Virgin Mary, and her eyes turned jet black. And then she said her hands seemed to turn into thick paws with claws. Which to me, I'm like, Mom, are you possessed too? Like, you're seeing this?
Yeah.
Or is that like to physically alter someone's body? Maybe she was just super freaked out.
Yeah.
Because she's so religious. She's like, I need to justify why she's angry at the Virgin Mary.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was weird.
Yeah, very interesting that she like almost saw this manifest in front of her eyes.
Yeah.
With her daughter.
Yeah.
Getting these
during this episode of her manically staring at the Virgin Mary statue.
Yeah.
And there's like, it's a religious household. They have, statues and pictures and crucifixes all over their house.
Right.
So,
interesting.
Yeah, now she's reacting badly to them.
Which
That's
is one of those signs.
Exactly. So, let's go September of 1973. Annalise described visions of horrific demon faces that started terrorizing her. She would literally see, like, what she claimed as, like, the devil's face staring at me.
Oh, jeez.
Everywhere she would go. Like, at all times, I'm seeing these faces.
Yeah.
And then she stated that the devil was inside her.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, not fun.
Not fun. Not fun.
She reports smelling something that she described as burning feces.
Ooh. And
And this is a stench that many around her would report smelling at later times.
Weird.
Yeah. Her mother explained that these occurrences to a neurologist. His name was Dr. Luthi, and he suggested that they consult a Jesuit, so like a religious official guy.
The official guy.
Official guy. And then Dr. Luthi, that motherfucker, he later denied that he said that at all.
Yeah. Why would he deny that?
Exactly. Motherfucker.
Like, whatever.
Yeah. This case pisses me off. It does. So the family starts searching for a priest, and they find Father Alt. A-L-T.
Okay.
It's November now, 1973. Annalise meets with a Freudian psychiatrist, and then she gets diagnosed as neurotic with possible epilepsy. So she has this diagnosis already. Now she's seeing another neurologist or psychiatrist, and he's diagnosing her, other things. And she sees another neurologist who finds epileptic patterns. So to me, that's crazy. Like, I'm not a neurologist by any means.
Yeah.
But her brain scans are normal at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and they have been.
Exactly.
So
I don't
want to
know.
And I, like, again, we're not doctors.
Yeah,
but
I could be completely wrong.
How can you be diagnosed with epilepsy without having any sort of brain
activity or something
going on in the brain to know that that's happening?
I don't know how they tested it back in 1973, but that's relatively not that long ago.
Yeah. Huh.
You know? I don't know. So
more questions.
Yeah, that happened, and then she switched over from Dilantin, which was for the epilepsy, right, to Tegretol, which is a much, much stronger medication.
Okay.
This medication is just not helping her.
Nothing's
at
helping
all.
her.
Yeah. All right, so
she's still having visions of the devil. She's still smelling weird things.
Yep.
She's still scared of religious objects.
Yep. And at this point, they haven't started any kind of exorcisms at all. Okay. So they haven't even met with. They met with a priest, but they haven't started anything yet.
So is this like a good year since her first episode?
That was first episode was in 1968.
Oh wow!
And then she meets with the neurologist and switches over in 1973.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a good amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then in 1975, so this is 2 years later, it's getting even worse. This has progressed over many years.
Yeah.
2 years later after that. So her symptoms now, she's barely sleeping at night. Mm-hmm. She is praying all the time. And I don't know, maybe because she was scared and she's like, I'm religious, this is what I know how to do.
Yeah,
you know?
She's trying to fix herself.
Mm-hmm. But while she was praying, she would see the face of the devil wherever she went. The devil, she said. Like,
yeah.
The devil.
Like Beelzebub.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
She would eat spiders, flies, and coal.
Coal?
Yeah. Like, to barbecue.
Oh my gosh.
To barbecue. And then she bit the head off of a dead bird.
Ew.
Yeah. She would urinate and defecate on the floor, and then she would lick it up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if you guys caught that in the mic. My teeth just chattered when I said that. That was not okay.
That's just, yeah.
She started destroying rosaries, crucifixes, and holy pictures on the wall. So now she's actually not just staring at him, pissed off.
Yeah.
She's now attacking them and destroying them, breaking them in half and shit. She exhibited strength that was superhuman. They quoted it as, like, the strength of many men. She threw one of her sisters around as if it was nothing, like a rag doll.
Weird.
Yeah. Mid-conversation, she would start ripping her clothes off of her body, just like your story.
Dude.
Yep.
Weird.
Yep. And then she was... Okay, this one is crazy to me. Because, I tried it. So, at one point, she was observed holding a whole entire apple in one hand. And with one hand, she squeezed and crushed the apple until fragments exploded throughout the room.
Which really can't happen.
How much pressure does that take? Because I couldn't do it.
I wouldn't be able to do it.
I go to the gym. I'm good,
I don't go to the gym. I know I can't do this.
No, and she's a small girl. She's not a big girl. That's a lot of strength right there.
Yeah.
Okay. So then at this point, they consulted with another priest, Father Roderick.
Okay.
And he was perceived by his peers to be an expert on exorcism. So he knew his shit. Okay.
All right. They got the right person.
Yeah. Good. And he was convinced that she was possessed. He's like, there's no way she's not.
It's been like over 5 years of this happening.
Yeah. So the family then sought out priests to perform an exorcism. And they were rejected, being told you guys need to seek medical help. This is not...
When they've been seeking medical help. And it's not helping.
Yeah. So, after appealing, they finally deliberated with a bishop. So, they were being told by priests, no, without them even consulting bishops. And you have to go through the bishop in order to get approved, right?
Yeah.
So, they appealed that, and they finally deliberated with the bishop, and the exorcism was approved.
Okay.
In steps Father Renz. R-E-N-Z.
Renz.
Father Renz, and he is the one that's going to perform the exorcism. And then the bishop, he actually ordered it to be carried out in secret. Which is also weird to me. Is that a normal thing?
I think, that's pretty normal for the Vatican to not, let people know that they're doing this, even though everybody knows that they do it.
Yeah, but, to me, I don't know. You have to say that. That should be like a Fight Club. You know that rule, you know?
Right.
Shouldn't have to say that.
Yeah.
All right. So now, September 24th, 1975.
Okay.
The first exorcism session is performed. And Father Renz, he actually recorded some of the sessions, audio recording. Freaking scary. They're online, you guys.
We listened to them.
They're so
it's
terrifying. All right, so they consulted Father Rodwick again, and then Father Wren steps in to perform the exorcism. Mm-hmm. First exorcism was performed, and he recorded some of the sessions. May of 1976, so a couple months later, into the new year, it started getting even worse. Annalise started, she would, like, bang her head against the stone wall, just, like, headbutt it.
Yeah.
Stone wall. Face first, like, yeah.
Oh, man.
She started biting herself and others so often that her family had to tie her up. She was throwing herself against the stone ground, so she would just freaking launch herself into the... and land on her head.
Wow.
Yeah. She was refusing to eat. She actually stated that, quote, she was not permitted to eat.
Not permitted.
Mm-hmm. So who's not permitting you to eat?
Right.
Exactly. Fuck that. I like to eat. During this time, she weighed less than 80 pounds.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. She exhibited the strength of a few grown men when people tried to restrain her. An 80-pound girl?
An 80-pound, like, she's, like, hardly 21.
Yeah. I could freaking
pounds.
chuck you across the room.
Yeah, right?
You're not
like,
chucking me across the room at 80 pounds unless you're possessed. Or on drugs of,
yeah, like,
you know, PCP or something.
PCP, yeah.
Yeah, so she would, and then she would continuously perform, is it genuflections?
I don't know.
It's like in the church where you kneel down with one knee to, like, pray, I guess, in the church.
Okay.
And then just throw herself, bam, 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 to the point where she ripped tendons and busted up her kneecaps. Broke them. Over and over and over again.
My brother cracked one of his kneecaps. It is one of the most painful things you could do to yourself, and it takes a long time to heal from it.
Well, she never got that because she would do it every single day.
Oh my gosh.
On the stone ground.
Ouch.
Bam, bam, bam. Yeah. I don't like that. June of 1976, her face was, extremely sunken in.
And this is all self-mutilation.
At this point, yeah. So then she refused a doctor's visit at this time, even though she was having, like, high fevers. And then June 30th, they performed another exorcism. She was only saying, please, absolution, like, over and over again.
Yeah.
And then the next morning on July 1st, the family went into her room and found her dead at the age of 23 after 67 exorcisms.
67?
She weighed 68 pounds at the time of her death.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so this lasted about 10 months. And over those 10 months, that's about 1 to 2 exorcisms per week that lasted up to 4 hours each session.
Wow.
Yeah, so throughout those sessions, Annalise revealed that she believed she was possessed by 6 demons.
Oh my gosh.
And I have their names.
What are they? Are you going to say them?
I am. So we have Cain, which we know from...
Cain and Abel?
Yep. Judas.
Okay.
Nero.
Ha. Sorry, I did research on him. So yes, again.
Fleischmann, which was a disgraced priest. I hope I said that correctly, but he's a demon, so I don't fucking care. Adolf Hitler.
Okay.
And Lucifer. Those are the spirits that she claimed that were possessing her.
Wow.
And the spirits would jostle for power over her body, so they're all trying to fight, to be the main one, and would communicate from her mouth. She would make guttural noises, like, you can hear it in the recordings.
Yeah.
Find it on YouTube.
Which, in that recording, she does, or whatever demon it is, it's Nero. Or, right?
Nero,
Nero, yep.
Yikes. This was just like a weird little part. So, the demons argued with each other, with Hitler saying, people are stupid as pigs. They think it's all over after death. It goes on. And Judas saying Hitler was nothing but a big mouth who had no real say in hell.
All right, Judas.
Yeah. Throughout these sessions, Annalise would frequently talk about dying to atone for the wayward youth of the day, and the apostate priest of the modern church. Yeah, so
All right.
weird.
So strange.
Yes, and then this case actually went to court.
All right, yeah. Okay, so she passed away because her family just went into her bedroom on July 1st.
July 1st, she passes away. And then an autopsy revealed
Yes.
Yep, we have an autopsy this time. Revealed that she had a healthy brain and that there was no damage to cause epileptic seizures, not even on a microscopic level, but that she died of malnutrition and dehydration.
So did anybody get prosecuted or anything? Because malnutrition and dehydration, that's somebody not giving that to you. Or
exactly.
Without medical intervention.
Clearly, this person's not fit and they can't take care of themselves. And
Right.
you're not providing that. So, remember, she was rejecting food.
Right.
So,
But if
still give her food.
Well,
force
you
feed
could
her.
take her to a hospital
That's
where
what they should have done.
Exactly, where they will put a tube into her, make sure that she's getting all her everything.
Yes, that's what they should have done. So, during the trial, it was in 1978. The defense was Mr. and Mrs. Michelle, so her parents, Father Renz, and Father Alt.
Okay.
These are the defense. They were accused of negligent homicide.
Mm-hmm.
Fair.
Yeah.
So what they did is they provided eyewitness testimonies, and they actually submitted the recordings as evidence of possession. So they were fighting on the side of, like, this was a demonic possession. We didn't kill her. The demons did.
Okay.
You know? They argued that Annalise was permitted to deny medical treatment, as was her lawful right.
Because she refused.
That's fucked up.
Oh, I don't know, man.
Yeah. And then they said medical treatment at that time may have meant tranquilizing her, force-feeding her, or electroshock therapy, which is correct. I mean, we know that.
Yeah, that's exactly what they would have done so that she wouldn't die of malnutrition.
But they would have fed her, so...
Yeah.
Is it... I don't know. I can't get on board with the fact that they...
Even if she was possessed, somebody should have taken her to the hospital so she didn't die of something that can be very preventable.
If she would have gotten food and water a week earlier, she would have lived.
Exactly.
That's what they said.
Wow.
Yeah, so a friend of Annalise stated that in 1976, a few months before her death, Annalise begged on her knees for her not to suggest medical attention to anybody. So she came forward and she was like, she didn't even want help. You know? Hello, this is your friend.
You don't want her to die, do you?
Oh, but she begged us not. You
sorry.
don't get to beg for anything right now. You're
Serena,
possessed.
you can beg all you want that you don't want to eat, but I'm going to go get your man and we're going to make sure somebody's going to be feeding you.
Girl, you know it's not a problem that I will eat. Thank you. That's a real friend. See? Father Alt did seek medical attention, help toward the end, May 30th, but nothing happened from that. Dr. Richard Roth visited out of curiosity. So he came and he's like, I'm here out of curiosity. I'm not a doctor right now. Hello, you're a doctor. You take an oath?
Yeah.
I know this was before 1978. I know you took an oath.
Yeah.
You have to protect, and you are a doctor first. You are a doctor
That's
first.
the rule.
But no, he was curious. He wanted to see this freaking possession and craziness play out.
And he didn't report this to anybody else, though.
No.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That makes me so angry.
He claimed, she had no external injuries, although Father Wren stated she had several bruises, a swollen cheek, and black eyes.
And by this point,
so they're contradicting each other now.
And like they said, she was banging her head into the floor, and she
had,
was messed up looking. Like,
if not external injuries, this girl had to have been skinny and looking like sunken in eyes. She had to look malnourished.
Yeah, had to have.
She had to have. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All right. So the prosecution, they argued that she had epilepsy and psychosis, that they failed to act to save her life.
They did fail.
Yeah. Regardless of if she was possessed or if it was whatever, you know, they failed. They tried to discredit Father Alt, saying he was schizophrenic. As they do. Said that the medicine given to suppress the seizures morphed into delusional psychosis mixed with epilepsy.
Okay.
So they're saying that the medication that was given is increasing it.
Right.
But it's supposed to decrease it.
Right, but if she really wasn't epileptic, then that
it wouldn't
makes
have
sense.
helped. Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't have helped. It probably only would have hurt.
Exactly.
Yeah. Basically, they said that the exorcism played into her fantasy. So if it was all in her head and now, these exorcisms are happening 1 to 2 times a week. Mm-hmm. Of course it's going to make her, think that she's possessed or what, know? But I don't know. I think she was possessed.
It sounds like she is.
Yeah, so they're saying that the psychosis was brought on by the drugs, but the psychosis, again, predates the drugs. Yeah. This happened before she was prescribed. A year before,
A year before, yeah.
Yeah, so they actually ruled in favor of the prosecution, sentencing the defendants to 6 months in prison, 3-year suspension for the priests, and payment for all court costs. But they never did any prison time. They just got off.
Oh my god.
3 years probation or some shit like that.
And I bet they still practiced, after their little probation.
Yeah, after the little probation period was done.
That is so sad.
Yeah.
That is so sad.
Yeah, it was a sad case to...
Even if she was possessed by any demon, let alone 6 demons, they could have still saved her life.
Yeah. 1000%.
She did not have to die. That is so sad.
There was something I found that was saying, remember how it goes back to saying, I'm doing this for, in loose quotes, I'm doing this for, humanity?
Yeah.
It was saying, she actually took it on, and that the demons were, bound to her because she said, no, I'm going to suffer so other people don't have to. Oh. And then that's why she died, but she clearly died of malnutrition.
Yeah, she
did. But, you would G if that's what really happened,
If she was protecting people from spirits or demons that are Hitler and Judas and Nero, Lucifer, all of that is just...
Yeah. 1 demon's enough.
But 6?
Yeah.
And the names that they had...
Yep, and then, is it Anna Uckland?
Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently, I didn't do enough research on that, but apparently some of the same demons that possessed her were also the ones that possessed Anna Uckland.
I think Nero was one of them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Judas, I think.
And Judas, yeah. Which just makes me I need to ask a Catholic, I guess.
Can I get a list of people to avoid, please?
But, so Judas, even Lucifer were... not demons to begin with.
Well, yeah,
so can they...
do you just do so much evil that's the level that you progress to, which is another episode.
Hitler, hello.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's a whole other... We could do a whole other episode on
one of them was a priest. One of them was a fallen priest or whatever you want to call it. So he must have done some...
terrible things.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that was sad.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that, Serena.
Of course.
And it kind of actually plays into my last story.
This is going to be a longer episode, but I'm digging it. Hope you guys are still here with us.
All right, so last story. I'm going to be talking about Michael Taylor. This happened in 1974, which is interesting since it was around...
the same
time. And this was in Yorkshire, England.
Damn.
So,
across the pond.
Yep, across the pond. So, also, Michael Taylor did have a history of depression. So, just kind of keep that in mind also. Michael was known for being a normal, mild-mannered guy in his neighborhood. Nothing out of the ordinary. Him and his wife, Christine, had 5 kids. Normal, everyday family. They did not go to church. However, they were having some financial issues. And during this time, Michael's depression got worse, which would happen with anybody who's already prone to depression, and now they're having financial issues, and they got 5 kids to take care of.
Yeah.
So he very well could have been getting depressed. His wife was saying that he was becoming a little more manic. A neighbor had convinced Michael and Christine to start attending church. Maybe some spiritual intervention might help with his depression and not make him, so depressed about his financial situation, which can help. Religion is really good for people, and if it helps, keep going.
Yeah, sometimes having something to grab onto.
Exactly.
I'm not a religious person. I am spiritual, though, so, and I can understand other people's religions. I'm open to.
Yeah, if it helps you and you believe in it, more power to you. So they started going to church regularly, and Michael actually started taking, Bible study sort of classes, and he was really getting into it. He was taking these classes with a woman named Mary Robinson. He was going to all of her classes along with other people from the church, but he started to get a little enamored with Maureen. And Christine, his wife, started to notice this and did confront her husband to make sure that, dude ain't stepping out on her, When she confronted Michael, it was after one of these Bible study classes. And as soon as she mentioned this to Michael, he looks over at Marie, the girl who does the Bible study classes, and starts yelling at her.
Oh my God.
And almost speaking in tongues.
Psycho.
So he was actually kind of like removed from other people. Like other people had to remove him from this Bible study. And Mary kept saying like, there's nothing going on between us. And she told this to Christine, his wife. And to this day, she completely denies any sort of sexual relationship with Michael. Michael also denied that. But why did he freak out on her and just start yelling at Marie?
Demons.
Something was happening. Exactly. They were welcomed back into the church like the next Sunday or whatever. But the people at the church started to notice that he was having some odd behavior after this incident. It was so odd that Michael at one time said he was scared of the moon.
What?
Scared of the moon. Yeah, he had no reason to be scared of the moon.
I'm a Cancer, that's offensive.
That's offensive. So, during one night of the full moon, that Marie girl came to Christine and Michael's home, and they stayed up all night, completely just doing the sign of the cross all night. Constantly, just doing the sign of the cross. Stayed up all night and did that. Nothing changed, though. Michael's behavior got even worse and got even more odd. So the vicar or the vicar of the church.
I think it's vicar.
The vicar of the church decided that he was possessed, went through the steps. They're going to do an exorcism.
They got their checklist.
They did their checklist. They're going to go all for it. They want to help Michael. So on October 5th, 1974, the St. Thomas Church in Gobber, the priest who performed the exorcism was Peter Vincent, along with a Methodist clergyman named Reverend Raymond Smith. That was really hard for me to get out.
I know, I could tell. It's okay. You got there.
So, again, October 1974, they start this exorcism. Apparently, they cast out 40 different demons from Michael.
Shut the fuck up.
This went on until about 6 a.m. the next day. These priests were exhausted, and
yeah.
Michael and his wife were also exhausted. So, again, it's 6 a.m. the next day, so now it's October the 6th. And the priests tell Michael and his wife, we can't keep going right now. You are seeming a little bit better. Please come back later on tonight so we can finish the exorcism. They are quoted to say that there was 3 more demons to cast out of Michael.
Get out of here.
And the thing with these demons, though, it wasn't like the names of demons. It was more of what these demons were. So part of the 40 demons that were cast out, one of them was bestiality, and the other was incest. So those were part of the 40 demons that they cast out. But the 3 that still remained, according to the priest, was murder, madness, and violence.
So now he's a serial killer. Oh my God.
Yo, the fact that they said there's 3 other demons that we need to cast out of you, but you can go home, we can do this later, kind of baffles me. So Michael and Christine go home around 8 a.m. About an hour later, regular patrol guy, his cop doing his beat, patrolling the neighborhood, sees this man, buck-ass naked, walking down the street covered in blood.
Stop.
Do you think you know who it is?
Yeah, it's homeboy.
It's Michael. It's Michael. So, this cop takes Michael in, asks him, where's your residence, sir?
And your clothes.
Yeah, so he gets Michael into the car. They drive over to his house.
See, he doesn't say, why are you covered in blood?
I'm not sure exactly what the conversation was.
I'm about to end my shift. I'm ready to go home. We need to get this over with.
But what did happen is the policeman goes to Michael's residence where there's already other cop cars, ambulances, and even a criminal inspector.
Oh, they're already there.
They're already there at his home.
Whoa.
There's plenty of quotes saying that the criminal inspector went up to the policeman who had Michael and said, "Do not enter that house. Don't go in." And vomited afterwards.
Oh, man. If that's his job and he's reacting like that's gotta be intense.
Cute. So, cops are inside the home, and they do find some of the most horrific scene that they've ever seen.
What is there?
Sadly, Christine has been murdered, and so was the family dog.
What?
Officers are quoted to say this was the worst crime scene they have ever seen. So, trigger warning, everybody. I'm going to let you know exactly what these police saw when they walked into the home.
Well, I don't know if I want to know.
Oh, trigger warning, Serena. You can walk away if you like.
So, and as I'm editing, I hear everything.
This is pretty gruesome,
right,
guys.
Let's go.
So, he murdered his wife. He tore out her eyes, tore out her tongue, and then ripped off her face.
Ripped off her face?
Ripped off her face. He strangled her to death as well.
Oh, my God.
He then strangled the family dog.
Rufus.
Ripped out its eyes and tore it apart limb from limb. The police said there was literal pieces around the home and blood up and down the walls, ceiling to floor. Of course, they placed Michael under arrest.
Well, yeah.
I will say there's really no information on where the kids were at this time, but none of the kids were harmed.
Okay.
I don't even know if they were in the house when this happened. I couldn't find anything to say they were or were not.
I hope they never had to see that.
I hope they did not see this or heard anything. I'm not sure, though.
Oh, the dog.
So, Michael obviously was placed under arrest. The only thing he said, because he obviously had no motive to murder his wife at all.
Well,
The only thing he kept saying was, released. I am released. It is done. The evil in her has been destroyed.
What?
That was the only thing he would say.
Bro, you are deflecting right now.
So guess what? He was acquitted of murder. Yep, acquitted of murder. Mm-hmm.
Huh?
The devil made him do it, Serena. It wasn't Michael. It was the devil.
I'm done with this podcast.
He was taken to a psychiatric hospital for 2 years and then moved to another ward of the psychiatric hospital for another 2 years. Was let back out into society only having 4 years in a mental institution.
What is up with these convictions?
Yep, exactly.
Oh my God.
Well, guess what? He continued to have odd behavior even after these 4 years in the mental institution. Duh.
Does it say anything about his time there?
Not in the mental institution, except for the fact that he obviously was fine enough according to their standards.
Kept that man locked up.
Possibly. He was only in one ward for 2 years, which was the main security area, and then let out into the not so secure area for the last 2 years. So whatever happened there, there's really not a whole information on exactly what happened while in the mental institution.
Obviously nothing enough to get him there longer.
Exactly. So, as I said, he still had weird episodes, odd behavior, and he still had depression after serving those 4 years in the mental institution. In 2005, Michael was arrested again for having sexual harassment of an underage girl. He only spent 1 week in custody.
What?
Yep. At that same psychiatric hospital. And then only had 3 years of probation to serve community service.
Bullshit.
And then have psychiatric treatment with those 3 years.
Bullshit.
Michael still says to this day he doesn't know what happened or why he murdered his wife. And he has attempted suicide 4 different times. I don't know if this man is still alive or not. That's what I did today for my research, was trying to find out where he is.
You're Facebook stalking him.
Dude, can't find shit.
I mean, I wouldn't want anybody to find me too if I was a piece of shit like that.
So, that whole saying, the devil made me do it, that's from Michael Taylor back in 1974 when he murdered his wife because he was possessed by a devil or demons.
Ugh, I don't like him.
No, at all. This is when I had to text Serena last night saying I threw my arms up and yelled at my cat. like what the fuck, Louie?
Poor
Like
Louie.
the hell? Louie's just sleeping. He doesn't know what's going on. So yeah, guys.
I don't like that we ended with that one. I wish we should have ended with the Jordan story.
We should have ended with Jordan.
Red flags.
Well, guys, there's our exorcism and possession stories. Like we said, we could probably do a whole other episode on just these.
I think we will.
I think we should definitely revisit this.
Yeah. I especially want to do Anna Uckland.
Yeah. And where are my little notes?
And then Latoya.
Latoya.
What's her last name?
Latoya
Not Jackson.
Ammons. I know, I said Jackson. My God. Latoya Ammons. I wanted to go over hers as well.
Yeah.
But,
and then I have one too. I forget what her name is.
Yeah. And
she's I found her on Twitter. This lady,
shit.
yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, we'll probably do another episode on this. It was fucking creepy.
It was cray-cray.
And interesting, and I learned a whole lot.
I know, I learned so much, too.
Yeah.
We're going to do another episode. There's just so much more I want to share. This is a longer episode. We tried to keep it short, but we'll end it here, guys.
And we really appreciate you guys going through this crazy exorcism roller coaster with us.
Yikes.
Yeah, so...
All right.
I want to do another shout out to Jim for doing our music, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes, it's still amazing.
Yes, and I want to give a shout out to Jordan.
Yes, thank you, Jordan,
Thank you, Jojo, for our story.
story.
And I'm glad you're not with that man anymore.
Me too. And, if any of our listeners have any sort of stories that go along with this, go ahead and send us an email at weirdmythicpodcast@gmail.com.
Yep, you can also find us on Instagram. Where on Instagram?
We are just Weird Mythic Podcast, all one word. We're also on Facebook.com/WeirdMythic.
And Twitter.
Serena's always up on our Twitter.
I am. I'm on that thing.
Yeah, I love it.
It's at Weird Mythic on Twitter.
Yeah, so.
Yay. All right, well, thank you guys. I hope we didn't scare you too much with that audio.
Yeah.
If we put it in this episode. If we edit it out, we'll put it on our Twitter.
Yeah, so thanks again, guys. Send us your suggestions. Send us your stories. We still would like some stories on sleep paralysis as well.
Yes, that episode's coming soon as well.
Yes, so
that's just like a lengthy ass episode.
Yeah. Or if you happen to know a little more about like Catholicism and the way that exorcisms are, taken out or how they go, give us some insight. We would like to hear.
I would love that.
I'd like to learn a little more.
All right, well, bye, guys.
Bye. See ya. Happy Friday the 13th.